Martha Koome is now being set on a collision path with President William Ruto. But what is behind this? We are looking more into these details in this podcast. Kindly subscribe to our channel. This is the Bold Analysis. Raila Odinga and the Azimio team has already launched sued William Ruto for in the manner of formation of a commission of inquiry to look into the Shakahola forest massacre. And it's challenging the way it has been done. And I looked at that article actually saying that they were supposed to be approved by Parliament, or there was supposed to be an input of Parliament in it, but that was bypassed. And in a gesture of it being done in a haste, the commission of inquiry was formed. Secondly, the Azimio Moja are also planning a legal suit that is they're going to be enjoined in a suit that are going to be filed by, I think, a consortium of civil servants, if I'm not wrong, and some civil society organizations that are challenging some few policies in the Finance Bill 2023, the taxation of trade unions. They insist that they are not trade associations, and they insist they're not profit-making organizations, and so they don't know what is going to be taxed. Number two, there is also one, I think, challenging the 8% VAT. There is the two taxes that are going to be challenged. The per diem one is also going to be challenged. So the opposition wing are joining with a couple of civil society organizations and trade unions to sue William Ruto's government, the UDA administration, for the implementation of some policies in the finance bill, some of which they've termed illegal. We are going to look at this move because this is a departure from what we saw in the past. And I remember doing an analysis some time back saying that it was about time you just blend the two. Initially was about the street, the criticism in the public barazas. We also saw the mass action as being a tool. And the critics were actually saying that opposition, or that the Azimio Moja team also have a representation in Parliament, and there are also other legal avenues available. So they have tried now also including the legal avenue by now starting the legal suits. This, according to me, is what Raila did, what the dancer team did between 2013 to 2017. And they successfully put Uhuru Ruto administration by then on toes. And that is why I was telling you, when it got to the 2017 general election, it was a big tsunami. It was a big NASA tsunami. So they've joined this in a move that is now changing tactic. As if people will just one thing people are expecting is, include the Shakahola in reducible minimums. There've been a lot of discussions going on. So what I'm seeing is the move, them taking a different shift. But before I dive deep into that, I want us to look this Shakahola story for a while. Today, 15 more bodies have been exhumed. And these bodies were exhumed after the operation was a little bit stalled for some time. I remember when Raila went there, he was stopped from going, blocked from entering there. And we were told the operation was going on, only later to be realized that it had been stopped because of weather. So today it resumed. The same day it resumed is the same day the media were then given access to get there, and 15 more bodies exhumed. And they seem to say that the number is still increasing. Quite a number of graves has not been unearthed. So there's quite a number of questions just lingering in my mind. Why are we not seeing families going to claim bodies? Why am I not seeing people going to claim bodies? Are those people residents of that place? Are we also just exhuming mass graves of people who just died out of anger? Because if there are people that travel as far as my village in here, then I will be seeing video clips of people who have gone there to claim the bodies. There have been a lot of questions in it, and I think the state must look at it critically, because the way things are going, it borders some elements of extrajudicial killing. I'm just trying to think big beyond what the lenses are showing us. Now, back to our topic. Raila is pulling People's Defender card. The People's Defender is the platform which the UDA campaigned. That was the hustler concept, and they were telling the hustlers that Uhuru Kenyatta, was a dynasty, and Raila Odinga a dynasty, and they are not well acquainted with what the hustlers are going through. Recently, there was such a clip in Mount Kenya when I think Rigathi was also speaking about it. So when Raila then when he makes this move, he aligns himself, or rather regroups with other People's Defender. This is a very good position because the pendulum is shifting. As the time goes, this is the first budget. William Ruto is yet to clock his first year in office. By the time we'll be getting to the fourth year, I can tell you things will have been neutralized, and Kenyans will start making very rational decisions. You will really hear different stories apart from what we are actually seeing now. So Raila seems to be pushing that People's Defender card. But then, what do you think could have informed this change of tact? And that's what I want us to look at. But before we delve into that, I want to remind you that we have amazing traffic in our podcasts and in this channel. I'm inviting you, if you have a business and anything in your brand, let's take an opportunity. Advertise with us so that you can showcase your brand to over 100,000 per day viewers. So that means in a month, you have like, how many? 3 million, by the way. We attract 3 million viewers in 1 month. So that's a market that you can tap. That's an audience you can tap. And it's quality audience, by the way. We're not bragging about it. So get to our contacts and let's speak on how we can do business together. Now, and also support this podcast. By advertising with us, you also support this podcast, by the way. Now, the political corridors are realizing that there is strained relationship between Mother Koome and William Ruto. Recently, Mother Koome was in Meru, I think, and she lamented that the judiciary, the 3 billion actualized judiciary fund had not been actualized. Looking at the budget, I don't think that judiciary fund, it was supposed to be factored this year. I'm not seeing it there. Maybe I've not looked deep into it, but someone who has those details can get to me and show me. The bromance is over because the judiciary fund, of course, it has been actualized, but there was, there was the 3 billion that was supposed to be added into it is turning us hot air. And maybe the opposition wingers realizing that it is also a time that the judiciary will have some not some leniency, but the leniency, the leaning on the government side simply is going down. And that is why they've decided that, look here, let's face it. Because I remember, if opposition will try, and there is nothing like opposition, let me say minority. And they are majority on paper, but they are minority in the house. But on paper, they are supposed to be majority. So when there's new side, we'll try to make such a move last year, in September, it would have been trashed. I can tell you they will not have gotten here. And you remember, and I think by now, even the harshness that they had against the judiciary, the Martha Koome bench, seems to have gone down. And now there could be some listening ear on their end. As we also talk, people also want to checkmate because they also transition at the judiciary. I can tell you things are not going to be that easy. Now, Litigations normally slow down government. Ask someone around you who understands this, will tell you. When the more you litigate, the more you normally stall government. And you will listen to William Ruto saying, I'm just giving you a good example of what I'm saying. There was some time they were asking those who are just lodging a lot of disputes, tax disputes in the tax tribunal for the KRA, that they're stalling the process. And many times you will hear the state asking people to withdraw cases, to withdraw some cases so that they can be solved outside. That is normally a challenge. And in fact, many instances, the government rarely wins a case. They rarely win a case. Even though you win, and there is a lot of protracted process of getting compensation. Compensation is another story. But litigation is something that even William Ruto knows. Apart from it slowing down government, it also gobbles a lot of funds, and by gobbling that and strains the resources. The AG, Attorney General, is the legal advisor to the government. So if there is a litigation, the lawyers that represent government come from the office of the AG. So when you have so many litigations, that means even those resources are stretched. And because they are stretched, you may not have the luxury of putting your top-notch team into some cases, and that's why you find out government losing quite a number of cases to private citizens and organizations. So litigation is also something that I think a tool that the opposition wing are seeing they can try to throw in the ring to just disorient and disorganize the Ruto administration. Now, Ruto now is acting in panic. If you look at the budget, that budget and the taxation, that taxation regime, the outlook of the taxation regime in the 2023 finance bill, he's consolidating power, and there is, I think, overtaxation, and it's overtaxation because they are likely fumbling. And because the Raila team are realizing that these guys are acting in panic, they've decided that, look here, we're going down to push them. And that's when they know very well that, when a state loses a case, it's a bit of an embarrassment, or it remains shamefaced. Because I can tell you, with the current media space, if it's to lose a case and it's to be magnified, I can tell you how that looks like. If you want to know they're acting in panic, today there is Treasury has released a statement asking for Kenyans to give them feedback on how to lower the cost of living and how to increase the taxes. And then I was wondering, we have the plan. So what has happened that we now don't want to, we stick to the plan. We are not sticking to the plan, or the plan is not working, or the plan has failed. We normally say here uncountable number of times here that the plan was already trashed. What has happened? That tells you the kind of disorientation, because the government can't defend. They can't defend the finance bill. The finance bill, as there are many instances you will see high-profile state officers going to public, to the population, to defend some of the policies of government. But this one, they are not defending it. Instead of even coming out, I think David did tried and it failed. It backfired. He was really called out for asking Kenyans that give us what you think. So there's a bit of acting in panic, and that's what the Azimio Omonje team has realized, that because in panic, we can push him to the wall. Let's think Azimio Fold could be getting a bit of, they're being oiled or funding to pursue accountability, or rather to checkmate William Ruto, because there is money into it. By the way, let me tell you, the lawyers are paid. It's not money from people's pockets. It's not just entirely from political parties' fund. There is a bit of sourcing, and they're just trying to change the tactic. To me, if you ask me, it's one way, and it's a clear indication that they've taken that position, which is not wrong. I listened to Raila speaking in Kilifi that I do not intend to impeach, to remove William Ruto from power. I just want to know the truth. So he's trying to settle into this space, and then has realized that, look here, it is not only the mass action that we can use. We have a lot of tools at our disposal. That's, according to me, my point. I don't know what you think, but ladies and gentlemen, let's look at it. This one is one where we see if there is unpopular decision from the court, I can tell the opposition will be on the neck of Koome. On the other end, it's a litmus test. And it's also providing opportunity for the judiciary now to checkmate the executive. For the last few months of the UDA administration, I think the bromas was exaggerated. If you look now, even the members of the judiciary, the president of the judiciary is missing some very critical events, state functions. I remember on record saying they did not send a representative to swear in the CS and the PS. I cannot confirm whether they attended the Labor Day, and probably there were invitations. So there are a lot of things happening in the background, and that's why the Azimio team seems to be changing tact to see if they can push Ruto to the wall. That's my take.